rooms until you just settled into your sunroom too. I remember you did it from a few different places.
And we're live. It is Saturday, April 10th, 2021, 5:02 p.m. It is a blonde dog shirt day.
Overall day.
It is an overall day, and Kate's hair is up in celebration of the announcement that I'm about to make. I had a sublime pleasure today. I actually watched our first episode of In Lieu of Fun. And the reason is that today on kind of a lark sparked by a friend of Scott Shapiro's, I set up a podcast feed for In Lieu of Fun, to which I posted the audio of yesterday's episode and the audio of the first episode we ever did, which was why I had the occasion to listen to the first episode, about which I will give thoughts in a moment. The goal here is to make the audio archive available, since I suspect that people aren't likely to sit around and watch old YouTube videos of In Lieu of Fun, but some of the conversations are really terrific. And so thinking it would be cool to have an audio only version of it for people who wanted to, say, go running and or go for a long walk and listen to yesterday's episode. For people who'd missed the episode, wanted to watch it or listen to it, I'll say, doing the dishes. For those of you who are starting to commute again, I know it's a radical concept, but some people are doing it. And so we thought we should have a more easily accessible. Granted, you don't get to see the dog shirts or the overalls or the hat when Baby Cannon destroys the computer, or you don't get to see that, right? But you can hear the excitement and whatever. So every day from now on, when we announce the show, we will post the audio of the previous day's episode to the In Lieu of Fun audio feed, the podcast feed, which is not yet available on iTunes. It has been submitted, but it is not yet available. And we will also post the next episode from the beginning. So today's episode was the first episode. Tomorrow's episode on the audio feed will be the disaster first attempt to have a guest, which was I think our greatest tech failure, Kate, which was when
we we're like, well, fuck this. We just keep going.
We just stopped at some point.
We're like, okay,
it's the only time we've had a complete failure on the feed. But Danielle was a good sport about it, and we are going to do that. This will affect the live show not at all. We will continue to do the Crowdcast feed and the YouTube feed with the Great Greek Chorus at 5 o'clock, except when specifically specified, every day. And as you all know, we are starting to think about bringing in other hosts to take over one day a week or whatever. We will keep you posted on that. But this is just in addition to what we're doing. There will be an audio feed of all of it. It is not yet available on iTunes. It has been submitted. It is available on Spotify, on Acast, and I don't know about Stitcher. But I will continue to post on the Twitter feed the links to the various audio feeds. So a bunch of you have been asking about this, and so there it is. Second thing, this is the first time I've ever gone back and watched a whole episode of In Lieu of Fun. And I have to say, it was kind of awesome. First of all, there were no tech glitches the first show. We did the first show, and I think we may have lulled ourselves into a false sense of security because the first show went off flawlessly. We sounded great. We didn't try to bring anybody on, so we didn't know how that was going to go. But we sounded good. We kept being kind of incredulous that it was working. We were funny. We were completely wrong about what the show was going to be. We got a lot of things.
What did we say the show was going to be?
I think we thought it was going to be a little bit more about people's research than it's ended up being. And we had some ideas along the way.
This is true. You said this the other day. You're like, well, it's not bad that you don't read the news every day, KK. It's just bad that you do a daily show about the news every day and don't read the news. And I was like, no, but come on, I signed up for In Lieu of Fun, and we were not going to do it. It wasn't a current event show when it first started.
No, that's right. It was going to be a research show and kind of but we started having, so one of the cool things about the first episode is that there is no, and I mean none of the things we associate with In Lieu of Fun. So it doesn't start out with, and we're live, it's blank day, et cetera, et cetera. In fact, it starts with a kind of extended conversation about whether we're live. Do you think are we live? Did this work? And that actually goes on for a while. And then, and we both seemed kind of a little bit confused about
we were confused. You literally wrote I had 3 tweets to go on. From what to explain. We hadn't talked about it at all. I don't even think we'd had a text message phone call. I think maybe you'd texted me.
I think we did a test run the previous day because I have the video of that test. And
I also want to say we didn't know each other that well. We've met 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, but I have a good feeling about it.
I know, but I just think it's really funny.
So that was the first thing. The second thing was it's pretty funny. It's actually well done. It's totally improvised, and it made me laugh a few times. Third thing is none of the memes of In Lieu of Fun
that John Bordeaux made our image out of.
Oh, I don't mean just right. So none of them exist yet. People are asking, will you bring Baby Cannon on the show? And I'm like, no, Baby Cannon's not coming on the show.
I also remember not knowing what Baby Cannon was. I had somehow missed that in your Twitter feed.
Because you were the one who said, aren't all the Baby Cannons stuck in the Brookings Institution? And you were
that's right. We talked about it. Yeah.
Okay. So there was that. There's no Boris Johnson, murder hornet. The fact that you're going to bring live rescue animals on the show is not teased at all. Although you did sort of threaten to farm garlic on the show.
I just remember just thinking it was a thing we were going to do for a couple of days to keep ourselves busy. What it just basically was what it
So
it was
this is interesting. The only sense we had of how long it would go is that somebody suggests in the chat, and this is the YouTube chat because there was no Zoom, there was no Crowdcast. It was just a live stream on YouTube. Someone suggests in the YouTube chat that we should have, because we were talking about, should we have my uncle who lives in Montana on the show?
I remember.
And then somebody says you should have some interesting person from each of the 50 states. And John Bordeaux presciently writes in, does that mean you expect to be doing this for 50 days? And I don't remember, neither of us reacted to that. But
I don't read the comments. You were looking at the comments and policing the comments. I don't remember ever getting more wine. It's been, I'm having a lovely day. It has been so nice here. But I remember comparing it to a USO show. That was the thing I remember saying, because I remember thinking literally of Bob Hope. And
we got a lot right about what it would be. We also got a lot wrong. And also there's these cool little things that like tease what become regular features of the show.
Like what?
Well, so like not knowing how long it's going to go on, like like, oh, we have an extended conversation at the end. We need a sign off. I mean, we need something that we do at the end that's a trademark. We'll have to figure it out tomorrow or something.
But I just remember it also being like, we were very religious about, and especially you just like wanted it to be mostly transparent, all the planning and all of the thought that went into the show. And I mean, I still think that this is actually 95% of the show still happens on the like the planning for the show happens on the show. Small decisions, I would say we have, or like conversations that wouldn't be appropriate for like the things that are like, off, but most of it all happens here. And that was like something you pushed from the very beginning. And then, I will say one thing that I remember, which is like, I'm terrible at public. I don't love public speaking. And the only thing that made this easy was it was like a conversation and it didn't feel like public speaking. And so like all the elements of you having a sign in, like we're live and news and a monologue and like the end, like none of that would have occurred to me to ever do.
So this is an interesting thing that like does not appear at all in the show. We have this recurrent joke on the show about you being inarticulate, which of course you're not. And like Kate can't get the outro right. That whole thing, none of it is in this first episode. The first episode is like, so Kate, what should we, like it's pretty businesslike, and there's no jokes at each other's expense at all.
I still don't think we joke at each other's expense. Like we're never ever. We tease each other a little around like certain topics that are like recurring.
There's no teasing each other at all.
Again, that's because we've gotten to know each other over the last 379 days.
Anyway, so I urge you all to go back and listen to it on you can watch it if you want on the In Lieu of Fun YouTube page, but it is now available on the original In Lieu of Fun not YouTube, Acast podcast feed. Thank you, Janine.
You ignorant slut.
Ben, you ignorant slut. That was not in the first episode. Anyway, all of that is a long-winded way of saying we're not allowed to have fun anymore. We are, however, allowed to have an In Lieu of Fun podcast. By the way, I just want to say one other thing about this podcast feed. One idea that I have for this podcast feed is that, since it's not the live show, we can sell ads mercilessly on it without actually interfering with the show.
Well, you haven't mentioned that to me. Well, I love that idea.
Yeah. And so like people who want to watch it live can watch it with no ads. But so if you want to A, help the show, B, keep it going, and make sure it is free forever, for always and always and always, with no ads on the show. One way to do that is promote the podcast so that the hoi polloi who don't come and watch the show live can subsidize you all for watching it as a live audience, which is a better experience for free. So this would be an example of the rich soaking the poor. So you go out, promote the podcast, and thereby assure your own privilege. That's the goal.
There was something, hold on. I was going to just say something about the podcast. Oh, Daniel asked in the chat if we're going to edit it. And as far as I don't know is the answer to that. As far as
there have been a few, I don't intend to edit it at all. There have been a few times where we have edited episodes before we've from the YouTube thing for reasons of taste, propriety, and other factors. But the audio of the episode will be verbatim the audio that appears in our YouTube feed.
Ben, are we going to talk about the Presidential Commission on the Supreme Court?
I think we
and how
should.
There's a bunch of former in lieu of fun guests.
Yeah,
that have been named to it.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, sorry, I just remembered that I wanted to bring that up because I was so happy. I looked at that list and I was like, it was sunny here today and just beautiful. The birds are out. There is a nuthatch making a little nest. There's these love doves that are literally love doving on our deck and are just grooming each other and kissing. They're so cute. And the and my dad sent me a note and he said, Jack Goldsmith. So he loves Jack Goldsmith's book about Hofstra. He's obsessed with it. And then he saw Jack on Morning Joe and now he won't stop talking about Jack Goldsmith to me. But he was he just got named to this commission. I was like, which Jack? And he was like, Goldsmith. And I was like, well, what about Balkan? Because he wrote all this other stuff. And so anyways, then my dad literally read me the names as I was driving in the car of the people. And I was like, oh, great. Rick Pildy's got named and Bob Bauer's the co-chair and Jack Goldsmith. And, and there was this part of me, Ben, in seeing that list of just really serious, smart people that felt like the future. This is what I signed up for with government. This is I haven't felt this way in so long. I'm sure it's going to be interesting and weird and there's going to be conflicts, but it was just smart people weighing in together and debating really important topics. I don't know. That was just my feeling.
So it's a good group. It's a diverse group. It's a Harvard heavy group.
And Duke. So many from Duke. That was weird to me.
So I think the common thread here is Bob Bauer, that these are, a lot of people who have Bob Bauer has worked with, has, used their scholarship, has engaged with. Look, this is a very good move by the president. The president's under heavy pressure from the left to expand the size of the Supreme Court, to do, X, Y, and Z, to entertain sort of court stripping proposals, right? And he doesn't actually have the votes in the Senate to do any of those things without eliminating the filibuster, and he doesn't actually have the votes to do that right now.
Filibuster, exactly.
And he doesn't have the votes substantively to do a bunch of these things, even if you got rid of the filibuster. So how do you satisfy the left that you're taking their grievances, which are, by the way, totally legitimate grievances, I just want to say. How do you do something that takes those grievances seriously, that asks the question, what should the institutional response be to what happened to Merrick Garland and the very aggressive pushing through of Amy Coney Barrett, but that does it without provoking a confrontation in the Senate that you actually cannot win right now. And so one good answer to that is, what if you got a pretty diverse range of thoughtful people who are some of whom are lefty thinkers, some of whom are center-right thinkers, some of whom are just out-of-the-box thinkers. Jack Balkan's ideas on this are just kind of out of the box.
Not without serious credential and
he's
thought. It's not they're creative and different. But
my point is, they're not really either left or right. They're
that's correct.
They're just kind of out of the box. But these are all really serious people, and so number one, this generates a set of ideas, and it generates a set of ideas in a fashion that will have a serious intellectual set of credibility with it. Number two, it has, it buys you time. You know, Biden's priorities are not trying to provoke a confrontation over the Supreme Court. They're to try to get an infrastructure bill done, right? They're to try to like deal with COVID. So you buy some time by generating ideas that maybe more people will support after a commission than before it. And by the way, if the commission, if this group of people comes out and says there's a lot more to be said than the left believes for a 9-member Supreme Court, that's actually something that, you know, may be important. And similarly, if this group, a group including, you know, the Jack Goldsmiths of the world, say, hey, there's no magic to the number 9. And, you know, what was done in the last administration was so aggressive that it actually warrants a response. I think that actually would carry weight. It's not going to, would it carry weight with you know, Mitch McConnell? Of course not. Would it carry weight?
Nothing's going to carry weight with Mitch McConnell.
Sinema and Joe Manchin? Maybe. Right. And so I think it's a,
what do you think
is
going to be on the election, on elections? Like if this group does come out and say something that's like, with enough votes, we think it's time to expand the Supreme Court. Let's just like say, like, do you think what do you think the effect of that is going to be, just in terms of left and in terms of politics?
I don't think law professors affect politics very much. I know they think they do, but I don't. But I don't think a commission. But here's what I do think. I do think Bob Bauer. So Bob Bauer is, at one level, he's now a law professor, but he is at his heart, in his heart of hearts, he's an election lawyer. He was a lawyer for Democratic Party causes for many, many years. And that means like he is.
Who's the other co-chair? Cristina Rodriguez?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And these are, you should check me on that, but I believe that's right.
Okay.
And I think there's a, you know, part of the job of an election lawyer is to think through the, you know, how to make systems work. And that's, I think, a very valuable, yeah, Stephen confirms that Rodriguez is co-chair.
Okay, it is. Okay, sorry. I didn't, yeah.
I actually haven't seen
and to Petra's point that I should go and embed and cover this. They have another Kate that is going to be the rapporteur to do precisely that. Kate Andreas, who is a tremendous con law and employment law scholar at University of Michigan. So I am so excited. They have
a very good group of people that they've put together. And, you know, this is a subject in which it is impossible to be apolitical, but I do think it is not impossible to be principled and serious. And this is a group of people who can be that. And so I actually commend the president for it. I think it's an impressive approach to this problem.
That's exactly, I felt like it was what I always hope for from government. I don't have any idea what they're going to say. I just feel like it's the right people to be thinking about it. And I'm excited that they're being engaged by government to think about it in this official capacity. And it's going to be transparent, and they're just doing it right too. Like like, as you said, with the diversity, but like,
and how many people on it have been on in lieu of fun?
Let me take a quick look. We should have Kate Andreas on. She is tremendous. That's my own. I should have recommended her, but Jack Balkin, Bob's never been on. Well, Bode has never been on.
But Bob's been on Lawfare Live, which is,
yes,
you know, and he's been on the Lawfare podcast dozens of times. So, so Bob counts.
Okay, Bob. I don't know how Heather Gerken is going to have time to do this and run Yale Law School, but
yeah,
Heather is amazing. But she's never been on Lou Fun. I'm just saying that
running Yale Law School currently involves managing the Amy Chua situation.
Oh my God! I mean, it's always managed. It's always and her husband situation. So yes, Jack Goldsmith.
Ding ding ding.
And then, God, it's just such a great list. It makes me like all of these names. I'm like, great. She's great. She's great. She's great. He's great.
Rick Pildis.
So that's 4. Yeah. That's 4. And then I think, is that it? I think there's 4. Larry Tribe is on it, and he's never been on, but we should ask, but Michael Waldman. We should maybe avoid Michael Waldman on some day. Sorry, I'm just like, now I'm like looking through it for prospective guests. But 4 out of, not bad. Like 1/5 of that committee has been on In Lieu of Fun or something, I think.
Yeah, it's good.
So yeah, it's pretty great. Speaking of that committee, before I forget, and maybe to transition to us planning the show, unless you had one other thing to say.
No.
Do you have something else? Okay. I have to teach in Jack Balkin's First Amendment class on Monday, and I agreed to do that like a year ago. So I before I thought that In Lieu of Fun would ever conflict with it, but it's from 4 to 6. So do you want to, and he even very thoughtfully sent me a note to say, Kate, I'm reminding you that you signed up to teach for my class and it conflicts it conflicts with In Lieu of Fun. So you're going to have to tell your audience that you can't be there that day. So it's up to you. I can either not be there or we can scoot it.
No. Does anybody in the Greek chorus mind doing In Lieu of Fun on Monday at 6?
I don't. And then, yeah.
Hearing no objection, it is so ordered.
Okay, perfect.
That's the you got to say that quickly before the latency allows.
Okay. So there's the other thing is that tomorrow I am headed back. So I think I'm going to make the 1 o'clock train to be home in time for In Lieu of Fun. But I wanted to know, and I have the mystery guest.
You have the mystery guest. So first of all, do we know who the mystery guest is going to be yet?
Yes.
Okay. So without asking you to disclose the mystery guest, let's just say in the event that you are not able to be back in time, you were muted.
What? No, I just told you the mystery guest was.
Oh, I see. Well, you told me while muted. So in the event that you are not able to be back in time, then just text me the name of the mystery guest. It won't be a mystery to me, and I will host the show if you get delayed for any reason.
That will work.
Okay.
I will give you some hints. You know the mystery guest.
I know the mystery guest. Is the mystery guest Taylor Swift?
No, you don't know Taylor Swift, Ben. You barely would recognize her if you crashed into her on the street, and just walked into her.
I think if I crashed into Taylor Swift, her bodyguards would be concerned about me. So I think there's going to be. I've challenged Putin to a fight, and I would also say, look, I mean, I wouldn't know Taylor Swift if I crashed into her on the street, as evidenced by the fact that I just crashed into her on the street and didn't even know. So
exactly. That was a conclusory statement.
So Taylor Swift will be joining us tomorrow at 5. Kate, if you're not able to be there, just let me know. All right. Monday we have a show that will start at 6. So let's move In Lieu of Fun to 6
on our calendar.
On our calendar. All right. Let me pull up my list of audience demand for guests that we have not yet managed to do.
Okay.
I have some that I'm. Okay, we have outstanding from last week. Let's see. We did Rosa Brooks. We did All right, here are the ones we have. Norman Rule, Ona Hathaway, Chris Krebs, Michael Steele, Katie Benner, Walter Schaub, and Brad DeLong.
Okay, so hold on one second. So first of all, now that we're officially, we should talk a little bit about the Scott Shapiro co-hosting thing and how we're working that out and what we've been doing. And we actually are, just because for logistics sake, and everyone's not sparing everyone a long kind of logistic conversation, we are having a call on Friday, I think, right? With Scott. And so we're going to figure out how it's all going to work. And whether we should start thinking about bringing on other co-hosts in a similar manner. But what I want to say is that for like Ona Hathaway, Scott has written a book with Ona. He should, if we have her on, like whatever day we have her on, maybe we should coordinate with Scott to see if.
So I think that's a lovely idea. They wrote a wonderful book together called The Internationalists, which, by the way, is a serious book. And I know you guys think of Scott Shapiro as a great comedian, which he is, but this is not a funny book.
It's a beautiful book, and it's so important.
And I think what we should do is invite Ona on to talk about the book without Scott, so it'll be like super conspicuous that it's like having invited Scott to co-host the show with us.
Consign him to the Greek chorus to
we should just like not let him on, and not even take his questions that day.
No, yes, maybe, but that's
But he's
true.
also away this week. So let's see if Ona can do this week, and then we'll see if Scott wants to join.
Okay.
Hey, Ona. Do you want to join Klonick and me this week whoops, my microphone just tipped over.
Oh, no, it's okay. Hold on 1 second. I have someone coming in.
All right. All right, so Michael Steele is now invited. Ona Hathaway is now invited. Let's try Walt Schaub. We should have Walt Schaub on. And you guys should all retweet these because audience enthusiasm is often very persuasive to guests. With me and Klonick. The audience has requested your presence. Okay, Walt Schaub is now invited. Let's bring Katie Benner back.
Katie, to talk about all of the Gates stuff?
To talk about Gates.
Okay. My mom's deciding to crinkle an entire bag of potato chips. Sorry, I don't know if anyone can. She's like, say hi, Mom. No. Say hi. No, come say hi. People want to see you. No, see, opposite of me. She says she's very camera shy and her hair doesn't look good, so she doesn't want to come. My mom and I just have different standards for grooming. Okay.
I have very strict standards for grooming. Dog shirts.
Not at all.
No, there must be a dog shirt.
It's a well-groomed dog shirt.
I also want to point out that it's going to be a really interesting thing on In Lieu of Fun to figure out when the dog shirt, when the overalls, when sartorial issues in general, hats, when we first started talking about
lose our minds?
Hair, like when these themes of the show first started coming up. When was the first time I had an argument with Pauline in the chat about whether my hairline was receding or not?
I remember you got really defensive, and
I was like, "It's not a question of defensiveness. It's just a question of it's
I have a lot of gray hair now.
My hair is almost entirely gray now, although my eyebrows
I love
brown.
That. I love it's gray. It's quite very especially like acute today for some reason. Really a little like white caterpillar.
I want this one to be entirely gray while this one is still entirely brown.
What was I going to say? Okay, so someone asked about Kate Week.
Oh yeah, when is I also think Kate Day is gotta happen.
Oh yeah, but like
a Kate party.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. So we've got Kate Darling, Kate Gage. Kate Darling has her book on robotics coming out, but she's also has her baby coming out of her body like very shortly. And so she's going to be kind of busy for a while. So Kate Week might have to get pushed off. Kate Crawford has an amazing book on AI that's come out. Jillian York, we should have back on the show. She was on really early, and she just has a book out called Silicon Valley Values. Jillian has been working as an EFF and the director for free speech at EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, and has been working at these issues for a very long time, and has always been, she could have been turfy and mean to me at any point in this entire, like, in me coming into like her field, and instead she welcomed me with open arms, and she's a wonderful colleague and great thinker on this stuff. So it'd be great to have her. So can we maybe see if I can get her for one day this week?
Absolutely.
She's in Germany, which is the only problem. And then there was someone that I really wanted to have back on. Maybe it was Rick Pildes. I think we've been talking about him for a while. Sorry, there's a bug flying.
We should get Rick Pildes back and demand that he reveal. Is
it Pildes or Pildes?
Pildes.
Pildes? Okay, sorry.
You should get Rick back and ask him completely inappropriate questions about the internal deliberations of the Bauer Commission.
Oh, that reminds me that my judge said he would come on.
Yeah, so let's do that this week, too.
My Second Circuit judge. Well, I'm already he's already volunteered for a panel on technology in the courts. So really cool fact, really fun fact about my Second Circuit judge. So this was in 2014. My Second Circuit judge was completely paperless, which is so rare for like the Second Circuit, which still faxes memos back and forth to things. So we did fax memos, but we did all of our briefs were electronic, and all of our like memos to him were electronic. And we linked in our like memos that we'd summarize like a case and like where the law was and like what what we recommended him to do. We would create internal links to the record, and he would be sitting on the bench with his iPad, and everyone else would have like 20,000, like all of their kind of stuff in front of them. And he would have like his iPad and just be sitting there neatly, and he'd go to his questions. And in the questions that we'd written for him to ask, we would have linked the internal record and then highlighted in the thing. So he would just like click on the link, and it would just like take him to another document, the internal record, and he would just cite to and it made him look like, it was brilliant. And he was so far ahead of the curve on the technology stuff. So anyways, I'm doing a seminar. If anyone's interested, it's open to the public on tomorrow, Monday night at 7:30 after In Lieu of Fun show. I'll put a link to it in the chat.
To the members of the Greek chorus who are making jokes about Kate owning a judge, all clerks refer to.
Wait, who said that I was owning a judge?
Because you refer to him as my judge.
My cat.
That's the way clerks refer to their judge.
Yes.
It's not Kate has many eccentricities. Referring to the judge that she clerked for as my judge just ain't one of them.
What's really weird is when you have multiple of them, so you have to like differentiate. You're like, my judge, and then you have to like be like my circuit judge, not my district court judge.
My district judge eats cat food, but the circuit judge, doesn't eat.
Stephen, to your question, how do the judges refer to the clerk? They refer to them as my clerks. I would think they will refer to them as my clerks. And my district court judge, and I think a few clerks did this. I think actually Sandra Day O'Connor, I heard, also used to do this. When your clerks would have kids, they were grand clerks. So that was that was a Sandra Day O'Connor ism that I think got it like filtered down in the circuit, but I always thought that was really cute.
All right. Is it time to go to questions, or should we do more show planning?
Let's just get one more idea so we have like a little bit, because right now I feel like I don't know that my judge is going to be able to do it this week.
Okay, so I've done now 5 Twitter invitations.
Oh, then I'm fine. Then
Which,
oh yeah, I think I was like, my mom was in here and I wasn't paying attention when you were inviting people.
And so, you know, there's a string of Wittes tweets demanding people's presence. If the audience could back some of those up, I'm sure we will get the show. But remember, everybody, we're 6 o'clock on Monday. All right.
Yeah.
Who is first today? Christopher Argyris, don't use the ask a question for guest recommendations. That's what the chat is for. That goes for others too who are doing this. Richard Wattenbarger, however, is using the ask a question.
We've gone back and forth on this
I'm just giving people a hard time.
I know, but it is. I think we're trying to streamline it a little. Hi, Richard.
Hello.
Richard.
Unfortunately, I was going to appear as Anton Bruckner, but that just didn't happen.
Jesus.
Today.
Bruckner thing.
So
it's like joke I do not get.
Because you've never had to sit through a Bruckner symphony.
I don't even know who this person is. So it's like
he was Hitler's second favorite composer.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's the first one? Taylor Swift?
Yeah, Taylor Swift number 1, of course, but he could never get Taylor to show up as a mystery guest, so he satisfied himself with Bruckner.
Yep, that's settled for second best. I don't know. You would say that.
I actually look, Bruckner. We shouldn't get into this. Richard, the question or subject that you want to raise. We can have the Bruckner discussion later.
Yeah, Kate, we've talked about other people's music. Let's talk about your music. Do you even listen to music, or are you unmusical? You never. I don't remember a single reference to anything you've been listening to.
Well, there's not like a lot of room for me to move forward. Usually you two get going and then there's like, and I don't have like, I have no music talent like for playing, and I'm certainly not, so it's very poppy. Like so like, I go through phases, but you want to know why? Honestly, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but why I don't listen to a ton of music. I, in the early 2000s, like during the peer-to-peer sharing and Napster, LimeWire kind of Kazaa type of moment, that is very, obviously, like I stole a lot of intellectual property, shall we say. That was like before I was
Did you get caught?
Yes, I did. Have I not told you this?
No. So what happened?
Oh my God, I was a freshman at Brown and it was in my dorm room, and they turned off my internet. And I got a notice that said we have turned off your internet connection at the request of like the RIAA. And they said, call this 800 number. And I called the 800 number and they said, and I had been seeding and leeching. So I had like I'm not a selfish person. You got to share, you got to give, you got to like whatever. And, but the way they caught you
into oystering.
Yeah. Right. This is like KK walking the lines of things and thinking that the rules don't always apply to her.
Now we know why she treats property law.
No, but this was, in my defense, I was like, how I was introduced to peer-to-peer sharing. I was 16 years old. And there was literally like, a friend was like, download this thing and you can get free music. And there was like, and it was just like, that was literally like, I just never thought about intellectual. It just was like not a thing. Right. And so I was caught when I was 18. And at that point, it was starting to be like, but people were also rebelling against it as like kind of a freedom thing. And like, there was like, I'm pushing back against record labels. So there was like a little bit of protest element to it too. So I was like, it was not, the norms were not solidified. And the rules were definitely not were clear, but it was not clear how the new norms were going to apply to the rules. Anyways, the RIA signed up, and I called the guy. like whoever was manning the hotline for this. And I said, he goes, how they caught you back then was if you were seating, not if you were leeching. They were just doing it from one side. So he was like, I just turned off my seating. I just I was like, okay, I'm just not going to send this stuff out into the universe anymore. I've gotten like 500 gigs of music. I don't need much more music. And this guy was like, we need to know that you've deleted everything that you have from your local hard drive. And I said, no, you don't. And he goes, yes. And I'm like, you have no way of knowing that. He was like, we need you to tell us that. And I was like, I've deleted the 500 gigs of music from my local hard drive. Anyways, fast forward many years.
So you responded to this by not listening to music? This
no. Wait for it. The point is that I loved music. I had actually made kind of a habit of like getting full, like high quality discographies. Like, so it wasn't like I would just download like, Yellow Submarine. I downloaded every single variation discography and collection of the Beatles ever made in like a really high res and like really good stuff and put it all in like this external hard drive. It was like collecting really good versions of books or something, like making my own library. Well, fast forward to like, I don't know, it must have been like 2013. John bought me iTunes Match. And I don't know if you know how iTunes Match works. And this is why it's a property story. Is because iTunes Match is like, I have a book right here. iTunes Match is like, oh, you have this old like version of The People Themselves by Larry Kramer. You have this old tattered version of this book. We're going to throw out your version and we're going to give you this nice shiny library copy that you can use as long as you keep paying for our service. And it's the end of ownership. I mean, it's like a complete story of the end of ownership. And they delete it from your hard drive. Right. And after a year, this was like, I was in grad school, I think. I'd gone back to grad school. It was expensive to have iTunes Match. I turned off the subscription service and all of my music was gone. It was gone. It was like literally everything. I have about 30 songs that I have on my phone that I have like that I like have downloaded, but I had thrown out all of my CDs. So even like things that I legitimately bought and ripped and upload. So So this is like, so that there is a happy ending to this story. So this has been like 5 years that I have like literally just not listened to music because I don't have music anymore. And I refuse to like buy a streaming service because I don't believe in, it's a long story, but I like owning things like this because I like being able to share them like the way that you would share a book or a record. And so I bought records. That was one thing I did. When I was clerking, I bought a record player and I started buying records at the local Goodwill. And what best find of that was somebody dropped off 35 albums of Dolly Parton and they were $1 each in the vinyl. So I was like, $35 of Dolly Parton, please. And I like walked up to, but sorry, this is a long story. But the best part of this is we moved back to the house to our apartment in New York. And John and I were going through our hard drives and a bunch of stuff and he was trying to consolidate a bunch of hard drives because he has a ton of external hard drives to work. And he found an external hard drive of mine that has all my music on it that wasn't touched by iTunes Match. And I had lost it to time. And so I have it all back. I just have to like figure out how to safely integrate it. I'm trying to find an open source music player. And so I tell this story to my property class, right down to the stealing music, because like there is like, it really is a story about like people didn't know how to deal with these changes in technology. And there were ignorant people that were like coming into these situations and not understanding things. Anyway, sorry, that was a long story, but that's why I don't.
Great story.
Notice how Kate, with a great story, managed to grab us all by the heart while not answering Richard's question.
Yes, that's right.
Jim Croce, Paul Simon, James Taylor, Dolly Parton. I love Stevie Nicks. Huge fan of huge fan of Fleetwood Mac. I like, and I went to all of the Simon and Garfunkel, 3 Simon and Garfunkel concerts when they reunited, when they did that reunion tour. And then in kind of in my own era, I actually like Ben Folds 5 and Ben Folds, and I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm honestly, I'm gonna look at my Billy Joel. I love some Billy Joel. I'm not a Springsteen fan, really. I don't mind him, but I'm not like a huge fan.
The Scott
and I love, and when it comes to classics, classic music, I just I love Copeland, and I love piano. I just love any just solo piano music. So that's what I put on when I'm writing or studying. I will put on a 2-hour YouTube thing of piano music. That's just something.
There you go. She answers Richard's question under some duress. The Reverend Dr. Hillary Livingston.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Your necklace is beautiful. Are those wool balls?
So this I got at a fair trade shop, and it's wooden beads, and they're wrapped in recycled sari fabric.
Oh, cool. Wow. So pretty.
I got it on vacation somewhere, and I like to wear it because it goes with a lot of stuff. And
are you wearing a collar? Yes,
I'm working today because I had to record my virtual church video for tomorrow.
I didn't know that your denomination wore collars.
Yeah. Some people do, some people don't.
Okay.
But yeah,
it looks nice though. It looks nice with the purple.
Thank you. So I was recording today, so that's why I look more official than normal. So my question was, since we're kind of going into the period where we might be allowed to start having fun, what are the top 3 things you both want to do that are fun when you're able to do so?
Wow. All right. So the first thing I am planning to do is to take an Amtrak around the United States. And yes, I will bring a Wi-Fi hotspot and do in lieu of fun from the road, including from the train. Yes, Kate and I have arranged for Kate to host the show so that you guys will not be dependent on my Wi-Fi hotspot. So that is thing number 1 that I mean to do. I also, I'm going to miss Tim Miller's face licking parties that he's been threatening to host. But I do think some active socializing, including with people I don't know very well, sounds very appealing. So while I won't be doing the licking the faces of strangers thing, I do think some, just social gatherings, including people I don't know, sounds very appealing. And then finally, I am really, really eager to actually have my lawfare crew in a room together. It's been this period has been very tough on some of them, particularly the ones who are more isolated, have either young kids or no family that they're living with. And I do really look forward to actually working in the same room with them and having them have the opportunity to do that. So those are my 3 big ones. How about you, Klonek?
I think, well, one, at some point we should tell the story about how I accidentally licked a stranger's face in public. Which
I've never done. I just want to say
I've definitely done that.
No, so that's actually,
well, that's for another day. But I was going to say, mine are pretty typical, I would say. I really want to have dinner parties again. I miss them deeply. I miss having small groups together. just indoors and hugging and touching each other and like seeing people's faces. I mean, not touching, like I was just sitting on a bench with someone the other day and I was like, felt like I could be close enough to them now that I'm fully vaccinated, they're fully vaccinated, even though we're kind of different pods, that I could like rub their arm when they were telling me something sad. And it felt like really great to be able to like do that. So like human touching, maybe not face licking, but like human touching would be nice. And dinner parties. And then the last thing is just travel. I just can't, I'm just eager to like go back to France, to like see friends that I have like not seen that I used to see regularly because I traveled so much. And that's pretty much, but the work environment is so desolate right now too, to Ben's point. Like I completely agree. I go into St. John's and I have met with a few colleagues in person, but it's like at 12 feet distance in the faculty lounge and we're standing. And so it's like talking 12 feet apart. So it's not like the same. Yeah, it'll be great when that's normalized, when that's a little bit more back to normal.
Daniel, in his native habitat, you get the next question. This is the penultimate question today.
So I guess I have somewhat of a downer of a question, and I'm increasingly, I'm increasingly unsettled by the developments with respect to Taiwan and China, and I'm wondering whether you guys have thoughts about how the Biden administration should respond, and do you believe the reports coming out of the Pentagon saying in the war games the U.S. tends to lose if we get in a conflict with China?
I do believe those. I think, look, I'm not a military strategist, but we have been, this has been reported repeatedly over long periods of time and by multiple very credible people. And so I do think we should take that seriously. I also think China's behavior in a bunch of areas, from Hong Kong to Taiwan to domestic genocide with respect to Uyghurs, this is not a country that is resisting nationalist temptations right now. That said, the structure of deterrence with respect to the Taiwan Straits has been quite stable over a long period of time. And I do think the logic of that deterrence is a relatively stable logic. But I do not disagree with your premise, Daniel, at all, that this is something we have to have more than in the corner of our eye. And, if you want to think about, the various ways the world could end, the Taiwan Straits is one of them. And, we just, need to be aware that this is, a highly combustible and very dangerous situation, and that the Chinese government plays for keeps with respect to Taiwan. All right, Tony Cava, you get the last question this evening, hopefully less of a downer than the
dog shirt. Dog shirt, Constellation dog shirt.
It's Constellation dog shirt.
Sirius the Dachshund shirt, yes.
That's very cute.
Hey, thank you so much. Hey, a couple things. One is, first, I found out after the fact that my wife has a huge crush on Chuck Rosenberg. She says he
everybody does. Everybody, ever since
do too.
Ever since
this.
Nicole Wallace called him human Xanax, in the middle of the Mueller investigation, he has a kind of cult following. You want me to tell you the cutest story about Chuck Rosenberg?
Yeah, you really should.
So I suppose I don't think he'll be too upset at me for telling this story, and if he is, well, oh well. So
how did he find out?
Well, somebody could. No, I think he knows I've told this story in public. So Chuck, was the acting head of the DEA for a while. He was, and there was this time when Trump made this horrible comment about, not to a group of cops. He made us, said when you put a suspect's head in the car, put a suspect in the police car, people hold their heads to protect their heads. Yeah, don't hold their heads, right? And he was basically telling cops to rough up suspects. And Chuck did what no other senior law enforcement official then in government, including the attorney general or the deputy attorney general, did, which he sent a letter to his staff that said, that's not the way we treat suspects. Those are not our values. We have a code of values, and here they are. And what the president said does not comport with that. And I expect you to comport with this. This immediately leaked to the Wall Street Journal. And I sent Chuck a note, just said, just wanted to say I was proud of you and, blah, 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 and sent him a sweet, this complimentary note. And so Chuck calls me at Brookings, and, he's totally expecting to be fired. And he's completely at peace with getting fired for this. And so I pick up the phone and say, hey, Chuck, and he says, does Lawfare need an intern? And that was Chuck's reaction to, sending an all staff memo saying the president doesn't speak for our values. I've never met somebody who was more at peace with, well, all right, I'm going to get fired. And then the punchline is,
he's funny as hell.
He didn't get fired. They kind of didn't notice it. And because in addition to being malevolent, they were completely incompetent. And so Absolutely. He eventually, in fact, they offered him a promotion. And he reportedly turned it down on grounds that he had rule of law problems with the administration and resigned in his own time, and has been a television presence ever since. So that is my hilarious Chuck Rosenberg asking me for an insurance.
My hilarious one was that I started an episode of In Lieu of Fun talking to him about his baseballs behind him, only to get at the very end as the coup de grace, a story about him asking Bob Mueller about his baseballs.
Yeah, it's a great story.
And I was like, Jesus Christ, that came around really interestingly.
I thought Ben's story was going to end with, and that's how he started making me coffee and working. No. And he writes for us
semi-frequently. He's a good friend, and he's a good friend of a bunch of people who are associated with Lawfare. But I was really touched by the combination of watching somebody do something. I don't know if he thought it was going to get leaked, but just being totally at peace with, all right, this was something that had to be said to the staff, to the workforce, and I'm going to get fired, and that's okay. And then it not happening. It was just one of those.
That should have given everyone else the permission to go ahead and do the right thing rather than.
And yet.
So rather than a question, can I just tell a really quick story about my early In Lieu of Fun experience?
Sure.
There was it was like the first really nice day of spring, and it was in the afternoon here, and I was working out front, which faces west, and it was really hot. And I was listening to the show. I had my phone on the deck. I was in the planters. I was covered in dust. I was covered in dirt and sweat. And you had your friend on, who's the opera singer, who told the story about her neighbors
Maggie.
complaining about her caterwauling. Yeah. And so this was when you were like, "Oh, let's pick someone from the audience to have the last word," and just goes, "Tony Kava, you get the last word." And I'm like, "Ah!" And I run over to the porch,
God,
and
I forgot that we used to do the last word.
What's that?
That's how we closed like that for a while. Where we
Maybe
just
we
like
should
wrapped
revive
some.
that.
No, Ben, no one liked that. It died for a reason.
So I was fumbling with the phone, fumble. I'm like, "I'm covered in sweat. I'm covered in sweat." And Ben's like, "That is a great last word. I'm covered in sweat." So that's my old in lieu of fun story. Thank you very much for having me on, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony. We are going to leave it there. I don't even think
he got to ask his question. Wait, or that
he said instead of a question, he wants to tell an early in lieu of fun story.
Oh, okay, great. Then that's great. I missed that part. You must have moved out.
We're going to leave it there. But at least I will be back 22 hours and 52 minutes from now with Kate's mystery guest. And who's the mystery guest?
Your mom.
My mom. Okay.
I mean, that's actually not funny because it could be. I got some sun today.
You did.
Look at I'm like my sunburn is like coming out. Like I got a little. Sorry, I'm just like kind of realizing that my face is a little red. No, but it's not actually your mom.
No, I know it's not my mom because my mom can't come on in lieu of fun right now because of some
clinical trials.
Because of some trials she's involved with. We will be back then, by which time I will have wheedled out of Kate who the mystery guest is. Until
maybe it's my mom.
Yeah, we would all be into a Kate's mom mystery guest appearance.
My mom wants nothing to do with this. I had like a 45-minute conversation trying to explain what this was and why she would want to do it, and she was like, "No, thank you."
So everybody in the Greek chorus tweet at Kate's mom. Right. It's at Clonic Mom.
No, it's not even. She kept her maiden name, and none of y'all know it. So that's like she's very protected.
At Clonic's mom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But okay. Yeah. Okay. Not Clonic Mom. Yes, that's true.
And until then, when we're here with Kate's mother, we don't have fun anymore. But in lieu of fun, we do have a podcast.